हेलो एवरीवन। आज हम लोग इंडियन एविडेंस एक्ट के बारे में बात करेंगे। सो इन इंडियन एविडेंस एक्ट बेसिकली ये इस एक्ट का एग्जिस्टेंस कैसे हुआ। वी विल टॉक अबाउट सेक्शन 1, सेक्शन 2 एंड सेक्शन 3 विच टॉक्स अबाउट इंटरप्रिटेशन क्लॉज, जहां पर हम तीन चीजों के बारे में बात करेंगे: फैक्ट्स, फैक्ट इन इशू एंड रेलेवेंट फैक्ट्स। तो आज इतना टॉपिक कवर करेंगे और उसके बाद हम सेक्शन वाइज सेक्शन इंडियन एविडेंस एक्ट को कंप्लीट करेंगे। नाउ स्टार्टिंग विद व्हाई वाज देयर अ नीड ऑफ इंडियन एविडेंस एक्ट। तो सबसे पहले क्या होता था कि अर्लियर द कोर्ट्स यूज्ड टू अप्लाई principles of equity, justice, and good conscience, and also Hindus and Mohammedan laws were there with regards to Saksh, and earlier in ancient Vedas, these evidences were considered as Saksh, the Sakshi, or the Saksh, or other documents which were taken into consideration on the basis of Hindu and Mohammedan laws, and other English common laws were followed. So these rules used to govern the principle of evidences when any matter was initiated, be it criminal matter or a civil matter. So these rules used to govern the entire process. But now with the advent of Indian Evidence Act, these with the advent of Indian Evidence Act, the Section 1 Indian Evidence Act was required so as to bring a legislative reform in the entire structure of governing the rule of implementing the rules with regards to governing the evidences and the ways in which a document can be taken as an evidence by the court while adjudicating on the matters. So now Indian Evidence Act के अंदर section 1 deals with short title, extent and commencement. So Indian Evidence Act is hereby called as an Indian Evidence Act of 1872. Now the section 1 basically talks about the applicability of this act, which is very much important. So, from the point of view of prelims and as well as the mains exam, for all the students who are appearing for judiciary, and also it is applicable for other law students. It is also important for other law students. So, Indian Evidence Act की applicability दो तरीके से divided है. पहला on the basis of territorial, दूसरा है on the basis of court and proceedings. So, Indian Evidence Act is applicable and it extends to whole of India, including J&K, because of Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Act of 2019. It is now also applicable to Jammu and Kashmir. Earlier it was not, but because of the J&K Reorganization Act 2019, it is applicable to whole of India. Now, ये हो गया टेरिटोरियल। अब इसकी एप्लीकेबिलिटी ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ कोर्ट एंड प्रोसीडिंग्स देखेंगे तो होता क्या है कि दिस इंडियन द प्रोविजंस ऑफ इंडियन एविडेंस एक्ट आर एप्लीकेबल टू द जुडिशियल ऑल द जुडिशियल प्रोसीडिंग्स। तो यहाँ पर मैटर उन्होंने ये नहीं बताया है कि इट इज एप्लीकेबल टू सिविल मैटर्स और स्पेसिफाइड क्रिमिनल मैटर्स। उन्होंने क्या बोला कि इट इज एप्लीकेबल टू ऑल द जुडिशियल प्रोसीडिंग्स। क्योंकि हमको ये बोला गया है इसलिए हमको ये जानना जरूरी है कि what are judicial proceedings and what are non-judicial proceedings, because if it is a non-judicial proceeding then Indian Evidence Act will not be applicable. तो judicial proceedings के अंदर as per section 2 subsection as per section 2 subclause I of CRPC states that proceeding in the course of which evidence is legally taken on oath are considered as judicial proceedings. So court if in any proceeding legally takes any evidence takes an evidence legally on oath, then it is considered as a judicial proceeding. For example, any execution proceeding or any inquiry conducted by magistrate for so as to by magistrate into the truth of any allegation, or if the proceeding is conducted under chapter 19 of CRPC. So in all these three cases the proceedings are considered as judicial proceeding. Magistrate या फिर chapter 19 के अंदर proceeding हो रही है या फिर execution proceeding, chapter 19 of chapter 9 of CRPC, not chapter 19. So proceedings under chapter 9 of CRPC. In these cases the proceedings are considered as judicial proceeding, and so this act would be applicable. Now coming on to non-judicial proceeding, any administrative inquiry is considered as a non-judicial proceeding because that is considered by conducted by administrative authority. So there is no role of judiciary, and that being because of that, so general understanding है कि it will not be considered as judicial proceeding. For example, departmental inquiries बैठती हैं या फिर any inquiry conducted by collector or departmental inquiry, these are considered as administrative proceedings. Administrative inquiries, and which fall under the category of non-judicial proceedings. So in non-judicial proceeding, Indian Evidence Act is not applicable. Now, this Indian Evidence Act is also applicable in court martials, except the court martials convened under Army Act or Air Force Act और नेवल डिसिप्लिन एक्ट और इंडियन नेवी डिसिप्लिन एक्ट. अगर कोर्ट मार्शल्स इन दीज एक्ट्स के अंदर फॉलो हो रहा है, इफ कोर्ट मार्शल्स आर कन्वीन्ड अंडर एनी ऑफ दीज एक्ट्स, देन इंडियन एविडेंस एक्ट विल नॉट एप्लीकेबल, और एल्स it will be applicable on all other court martials. Additionally, this Indian Evidence Act is not applicable in three situations. That is, one, in case of arbitration, because the proceedings before the arbitrator are not required to be conducted are not required to comply with provisions of Indian Evidence Act. Because the concept of arbitration was itself to avoid the stringent laws, regulations, and to settle the matter within short span of time period. So they avoid all such stringent regulations. So Indian Evidence Act does not apply to arbitrators. It is not applicable in case of proceedings, in case of affidavits presented to courts, and also it is not applicable to tribunals. Now, अब सेक्शन 1 हमको बता देता है शॉर्ट टाइटल, एक्सटेंट एंड कमेंसमेंट, कि कहाँ तक क्या क्या उसकी एक्सटेंट है. टेरिटोरियल हमने समझा, एप्लीकेबिलिटी समझी उसकी, और एप्लीकेबिलिटी इन टर्म्स ऑफ टेरिटोरियल और एप्लीकेबिलिटी इन टर्म्स ऑफ कोर्ट्स एंड प्रोसीडिंग्स. इतना समझने के बाद अब हम आते हैं सेक्शन 2 पर. सेक्शन 2 ऑफ इंडियन एविडेंस एक्ट बताता है रिपीलमेंट ऑफ इनैक्टमेंट्स. मैंने आपको ये मतलब लेक्चर शुरू होने से पहले ही आपको बताया कि इंडियन एविडेंस एक्ट के आने के पहले there were certain rules of evidences. The rules of evidences were governed by the Hindu and Mohammedan laws, the principles of justice, equity, good conscience, and they were governed by English common laws. So in order to, since now Indian Evidence Act has came into existence, so section 2 subsection 1 repeals all such rules which were governing the rules of evidence. Now section 2 subsection 2 repeals all those rules, laws, regulations which came into force on as per section 25 of Indian Councils Act of 1861. ये लीगल हिस्ट्री में जाना पड़ेगा हमको यहाँ पे, कि जो भी इंडियन काउंसिल्स एक्ट के सेक्शन 25 के थ्रू रूल्स, रेगुलेशंस एनैक्टमेंट में आए थे, उनको भी सेक्शन 2 सबसेक्शन 2 रिपील करता है. नाउ subsection 3 of section 2 repeals all other enactments which are mentioned in the schedule of this act, and they are not repealed in its entirety, but they are repealed to an extent as mentioned in column 3 of the schedule of this act, right? So यहाँ पर extent बता दिया गया है. Additionally, अब एक important बात है कि apart from this, any other enactment, rules or laws which this section does not specifically, or which Indian Evidence Act does not specifically repeals, are still in force. So यहाँ पर जितने इन्होंने रिपील किए हैं बाय सबसेक्शन 1, सबसेक्शन 2, सबसेक्शन 3, सिर्फ यही रिपील हुए हैं. इसके अलावा जो इन्होंने स्पेसिफिकली रिपील नहीं किए, दोज आर स्टिल इन फोर्स एंड वुड बी एप्लीकेबल. अब हम बात करेंगे सेक्शन 3 में. आते हैं सेक्शन 3 में जो बताता है इंटरप्रिटेशन क्लॉज. तो इंटरप्रिटेशन क्लॉज के अंदर बेसिकली टर्मिनोलॉजीज हैं, डेफिनेशंस हैं, कि जो टर्म्स इंक्लूड होंगी पूरे इंडियन एविडेंस एक्ट के अंदर, तो उनको कैसे हम इंटरप्रेट करेंगे. तो आज इसके अंदर हम सिर्फ 3 चीजों के बारे में बात करेंगे. व्हाट आर फैक्ट्स, फैक्ट इन इश्यूज एंड रेलेवेंट फैक्ट्स. सबसे पहले बात करेंगे फैक्ट्स के बारे में. तो फैक्ट इट मीन्स एंड इंक्लूड्स फिजिकल फैक्ट्स एंड साइकोलॉजिकल फैक्ट्स. आपको ये समझना होगा कि फिजिकल फैक्ट्स क्या होते हैं, विच वी कैन परसीव थ्रू आवर सेंसेस. अ ह्यूमन कैन परसीव एनी फैक्ट, अ थिंग, और स्टेट ऑफ थिंग, और एनी रिलेशन ऑफ थिंग्स through his senses, then it becomes a physical fact. For example, मैंने आपको कुछ बोला, या आपने कुछ सुना, या फिर आपने कुछ देखा. Whatever a person heard, saw, or he speaks is a fact, because this is something which is done, which is perceived by his human senses. All right, so this becomes a physical fact. Now comes the psychological fact. Psychological facts are those facts basically psychological. दिमाग में हमको जैसे ही psychological words सोचते हैं तो हमारे दिमाग में क्या आता है, mental condition. So psychological facts basically deals with any mental condition which any person is conscious of. So if a person has any opinion, or if he has any intention while performing any act, then that mental condition is something of which a person is conscious, he knows about it, and that becomes a psychological fact. For example, if a person has any opinion on certain things or state of things, or if a person has an intention to commit murder, or a person has an intention to perform any act which may be crime or something of that sort. But the idea here is that a fact becomes psychological when there is involvement of mental condition of which person is conscious. Person with his conscious belief knows about his mental conditions, that becomes a psychological fact. Apart from physical and psychological facts, there are 2 other facts, that is, fact may be positive or negative. So if there is a positive fact, it depicts the existence of state of things. But if a fact is a negative fact, then it depicts the non-existence of state of things. So negative facts, जो भी state of things होंगी उनके omission, उनके non-existence को prove करता है कोर्ट में. But if there is any positive fact, it fact is considered as positive if it proves the existence of state of things कि हाँ उस particular crime scene पर ये weapons available थी, ये person available थे, या फिर पूरी स्टेट ऑफ थिंग्स रिलेशन ऑफ थिंग्स को अगर उसकी एग्जिस्टेंस को प्रूव कर रहा है देन इट बिकम्स अ पॉजिटिव फैक्ट. बट अगर उसकी एग्जिस्टेंस को नहीं प्रूव कर रहा है, इट इज प्रूविंग द नॉन एग्जिस्टेंस, देन इट बिकम्स अ नेगेटिव फैक्ट. तो फैक्ट हमने यहाँ पे क्लियर किया, पॉजिटिव, नेगेटिव, साइकोलॉजिकल, फिजिकल. अब हम आते हैं फैक्ट इन इश्यू पे. फैक्ट इन इश्यू को बेसिकली प्रिंसिपल फैक्ट भी बोला जाता है और फैक्टम प्रोबेंस भी बोला जाता है, फैक्टम प्रोबेंडम भी बोला जाता है. फैक्टम प्रोबेंडम इसलिए बोला जाता है बिकॉज दीज फैक्ट इन इश्यूज आर दोज फैक्ट्स व्हिच आर रिस्पॉन्सिबल टू डिसाइड द राइट्स एंड लायबिलिटीज ऑफ पार्टीज during the trial or during the proceedings of any suit in a civil matter. If the fact in issue is proved, then it basically brings an end to the entire trial, it brings an end to the entire adjudication process, and the court can arrive at the decision. Because for example, A is accused of murder of B. This is a situation, right? For this a trial is going on, suppose. Now if A is accused of murder of B, then a fact in issue can be that A received sudden and grave provocation from B, or A had an intention to cause death of B. These facts are basically the fact in issues, because if these are proved, if suppose it is proved that A received a certain grave and provocation from B to kill, or A has an intention to cause death of B, if these are proved, that explicitly shows that yes, A is an accused, would be guilty of charge of murder, of committing murder of B. Because these are the fact in issues. So fact in issues ultimately decides the case, and therefore these are considered as principal facts. Now coming on to relevant facts. So basically relevant facts are not defined anywhere, but the term relevant is not defined anywhere, but in layman terms, relevant fact itself states that these are relevant, and they are also known as factum probens because they have certain probative force. अब इसको हम ऐसे समझेंगे कि फैक्ट इन इशू हमारा मेन फैक्ट होता है जो प्रिंसिपल फैक्ट इसको प्रूव करना है. बट इस फैक्ट्स को प्रूव करने के लिए देयर आर सर्टेन रेलेवेंट फैक्ट्स व्हिच आर रिक्वायर्ड. दीस रेलेवेंट फैक्ट असिस्ट टू प्रूव और डिसप्रूव द फैक्ट इन इशू. फैक्ट इन इशू ये है, रेलेवेंट फैक्ट्स ये होते हैं. तो फैक्ट इन इशू प्रिंसिपल फैक्ट को प्रूव करने के लिए, इसको डिसप्रूव करने के लिए दीस रेलेवेंट फैक्ट्स आर रिक्वायर्ड. सो दीस रेलेवेंट फैक्ट्स आर आल्सो नोन एज फैक्टम प्रोबेंस बिकॉज दे डू नॉट एक्सप्लिसिटली डिसाइड द केस, but they have a probative force. The kind of probative force the relevant fact has, it determines, it assists in proving or disproving the fact in issue. अब हम इसको एग्जांपल से समझते हैं. हमने फैक्ट इन इशू में एग्जांपल लिया था कि A is accused of committing murder of B. तो वहां पर हमने बोला था कि अगर A has an intention, if A has an intention to cause death of B, or if A received any sudden or grave provocation from B, then that would be a fact in issue, and it would clearly explicitly state that yes, A has committed a murder of B. But in order to prove this fact in issue, what can be the relevant facts? So in the same situation, relevant facts can be such as A before murder was seen buying a knife. Alright, this was a preparatory stage, so he was seen buying a knife. Or if after committing murder, A was seen running from the crime scene with the knife in his hand, and it was duly stained with blood. So if A वहां पर knife लेकर duly stained with blood भाग रहा है from the crime scene after commission of murder, और preparatory stage में अगर A knife खरीदता हुआ पाया गया, then all these cases are relevant facts. So because these will create a chain of circumstances which will assist to prove the fact in issue, and once fact in issue is proved, the entire case would be solved. So that's it about facts, fact in issue and relevant facts, which we discussed in section 3. Section 2 we discussed about repealment of enactments, जिनके बेसिस पे पहले rules of evidences govern होते थे. And section 1 we discussed about short title, extent and commencement. If in case आपको कोई भी doubt है, आप comment section में mention कर सकते हैं. Also हम इसी तरीके से आने वाले सारे sections under evidence act discuss करेंगे, and मिलते हैं next class में. Till that time, bye bye, take care.